Hi, I'm Annie Fitzsimmons. I'm your Washington REALTORS Legal Hotline lawyer. And today I want to remind you about distressed sellers, who they are, and that under no circumstances do you ever want to participate in what the law defines as a distressed home conveyance. A distressed seller is a seller who is in danger of losing their home either to unpaid taxes, a tax debt through the tax foreclosure, or at risk of losing their home through a mortgage foreclosure, mortgage or real estate contract foreclosure, forfeiture, something like that. The seller is at risk of losing their house because they haven't paid their taxes or they haven't paid their house payments. And as a consequence, they are at risk of losing their home. That's a distressed seller. Now, you can certainly help a distressed seller sell their home. If anybody needs help from a competent real estate broker, it's a distressed seller selling their home. So when I say you can't do a distressed home conveyance, what is that? A distressed home conveyance is statutorily defined to include the following. A distressed home conveyance is the sale of a distressed seller's property where two additional facts are true. Number one, the seller is given the right to remain in possession of the property post-closing, and the seller is promised some future compensation, such as, seller, I'm buying your home. I know you're a distressed seller. I'm buying your home. And when I sell it, if I sell it for more than I pay you for it, I'll give you part of that back. Or the promise of, seller, I'm buying your home from you right now because you're a distressed seller. You're about to lose it to foreclosure. You're about to lose it to a tax sale. I know that you have $500,000 of equity in your property. Don't worry about that. When you get back up on your feet, I'm only buying it from you for $20,000, let's say. When you get back on your feet, seller, I'm going to let you buy it back from me for $20,000, or whatever terms the distressed home consultant might tell the seller they're going to get. In reality, the reason we have a law about this is because historically, distressed sellers, a vulnerable group of people in many, many cases, have been abused and victimized by people who take advantage of them, stealing their equity essentially. So the way this would have played out prior to this law, and it still certainly could still play out this way, this is why the law is in place, is so that the distressed seller who is a victim has a statutory right to pursue the victimizer. But here's how it would play out. The distressed seller, let's say that they are an elderly person who isn't really aware of resources to assist them or to help them. They've been paying their mortgage for years. Something has happened. All of a sudden, they can't make the last few payments on their mortgage. They aren't paying their taxes. But their house, to use the same number I was using a minute ago, let's say their property's worth $500,000, and maybe they're going to lose it to a tax foreclosure sale of $38,000. And in swoops their knight in shining armor, who's actually a fraudster, who's actually there to take advantage of them, and says, I'm going to give you, I'm going to help you get out of this situation. You're destitute. Not only can you not pay your taxes, but you're not feeding yourself well. You can't care for yourself. I know you want to stay in your home, and I want you to be able to stay in your home. So I'm going to pay your taxes for you. In fact, I'm going to pay you not $38,000 for your taxes, but I'm going to pay you $45,000 so that you have some spending money as well. The only way I can do that, though, the bad guy would say to the seller, is if you put title to the property in my name. So here's a quitclaim deed. We're going to have the seller, you're going to sign this quitclaim deed conveying the property to me. I'm going to pay your property taxes. Here's an extra $5,000, $7,000 for you. And I promise you, seller, that when you work with your kids or your grandkids or you get yourself back on your feet, however it is, you can pay me back the $45,000 and I'll give title to the property back to you. That scheme happened over and over and over and over again. And of course, the property never came back to the distressed seller, the vulnerable seller. Instead, scam artist got away with the seller's equity in the property. That's the purpose of the distressed seller statute. And so again, what you never want to participate in, brokers, never want to participate in, is a transaction where a distressed seller sells and, number one, retains possession of the property after closing, and number two, has a provision in the contract that says in the future there will be remuneration to the seller. Either the seller will have the opportunity to buy the property back, or the seller will get some benefit. When the buyer sells the property, there will be some cash that comes back to the seller. If those two circumstances exist, post-closing possession and remuneration to the seller in the future, and the seller is a distressed seller, then that constitutes a distressed home conveyance, and broker, if you participate in it, you are equally liable with a bad actor. Never, ever, ever participate in a distressed home conveyance. If you have questions on this topic or any other, please visit the Legal Hotline Library at warealtor.org and click on the link to ask me a question if you have a question for me. Thank you for being a Washington REALTORS member.